We can see that legislators and regulators are rolling up their sleeves. Governments around the world are starting to move. Things like the US presidential order caused a flurry of activity. It wasn't all well-directed, but well-intended, and then nevertheless, it had a huge impact on the interest in the conversations in the space, right? Things like the TSA pipeline directive, which we'll talk about a bit later. Singapore recently updated and republished its cybersecurity code of practices, focusing on critical infrastructure and information sharing. That came into effect literally a month or two ago. My home country of Australia mandated registration and reporting of critical infrastructure assets and incidents likewise. And similarly, in the US, CISA has been developing regulations following the cyber incident reporting critical infrastructure, which is an act I think was signed into law by President Biden earlier this year, March or April. And of course, the EU, the NIS2 directive, which is aligning more people and explaining what measures need to be taken to increase security in Europe. So there is movement. That's the good news. We have endless frameworks around this space as well. Obviously, the IEC 62443, the NIST 802.82, the MITRE ATT&CK for ICS, the list goes on and on, perhaps too long. We might need some consolidation, but a different topic. And another piece of good news is some of the collaboration that's being driven, information sharing that's starting to happen between the private sectors and the public sectors. In the US particular, MITRE, the Department of Energy, we have CISA's ICS certs and the JCDC and other collaborations underway as well. So there is good news now. I don't think any sane person believes that we can regulate our way out of this challenge or problem, but it is driving the conversation and driving interest, and in some cases driving action as well. There are some positive outcomes. It's clear that the industrial cybersecurity paradigm is changing. Enterprises and the executives that run them, the shareholders that own them and boards that represent them, they're facing an incredibly complex challenge that we can see it's just getting harder and harder. Any breach could have a significant impact on the company, on the environment, on the directors themselves, right? So the company directors are feeling the heat. Many of them are personally liable, could be personally liable for the consequences. So the ground is literally shifting under their feet. For example, the insurance companies, it seems like they're beating the retreat. Just last month, I read that Lloyd's of London, obviously a name that's well recognized, they announced that they're going to require their underwriters to exclude coverage for state-backed cybersecurity attacks that are linked to war, I guess as a result of what's happening in the Ukraine. They mentioned just that the potential losses greatly exceed the ability of the insurance market to absorb that. They just don't have the money to cover those type of losses. Nor do they particularly have a good understanding of the risks involved, but that may be a topic for a different webinar. So those type of directives are due to come in early next month. So the whole concept of transferring risk and using cyber security insurance is maybe taken off the table, which is a backup plan for many of us. It's important to keep in mind that cybersecurity is essentially a business risk, right? We need to address and mitigate those risks. And we need tools and processes that will not only enable you to see and understand the current picture, but we need tools that will help you change that picture and affect the outcome.